helping homeless vets and others in need. Hear how the community came together. The final confirmation vote for Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh will be happening this weekend. And in sports, a special edition about Ohio University athletics. We'll have recaps and previews. Newswatch starts right now.
Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
Local businesses and volunteers came together to help give back to the community. Good evening, I'm Steven Hernandez. Thanks for joining us. Today, volunteers in Athens spent part of their day helping out homeless veterans and others in need. Newswatch reporter Ben Schwartz has the story.
Athens County Sheriff's Deputy Jimmy Childs spent part of his day at the turntables. It's all part of the 3rd annual Athens Area Stand Down held today at the county fairgrounds. The event, which used to be exclusive to veterans, has been open to anyone in need since last year, with everything from food and clothes to medical help and haircuts available to anyone coming through. Athens City Auditor Kathy Hecht plays a big role in the organization of Athens Area Stand Down and says that they chose to host it in October to help with preparation for the winter.
Until you're in that situation, you don't really know what's out there to help you. If you've never had to take advantage of some of these services, you just don't always know. And this is a good place to do a lot of that all at once. We have, besides all the clothing, which is aimed at winter clothing, that's why most of these stand downs are held around October, honestly, is, hats, gloves, coats, boots, things like that.
The stand down is run completely by volunteers from the community, with many local organizations donating their time and supplies to help out. Kroger employee Jessica Woods was in attendance along with a group of co-workers to help give out fresh food.
We have a caterer that came from Columbus for us to come down and cook hot dogs and things like that. So then we did hot dogs, chips, we wanted to do fruit, things like that for the veterans. That way before they leave they can at least have a really good meal.
The event lasted from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., with HAPCAP providing free transportation to and from the fairgrounds.
Stand-downs have been happening around the country for around 30 years now. However, until 2015, there were none in the Athens area. At least 60 people came to the event to get help. The village of Jacksonville is receiving thousands of dollars to improve water distribution systems. According to a press release from Senator Sherrod Brown's office, the Appalachian Regional Commission is providing the funding of $250,000. The funds are being used to replace almost 8,000 square feet of water mains. This will bring safe water to almost 300 households in the village. The Athens Conservancy Bluebell Preserve is getting bigger. The nonprofit acquired 165 acres of land in Dover and York townships. That will expand the preserve to 230 acres. The land was purchased for just over $370,000 from Ohio Franklin Realty LLC, which was covered by a Clean Ohio Green Space Fund grant.
Welcome back to the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm your forecaster, Cameron Saliga, and here are your headlines. There's humidity increasing today, and we'll start to see some unseasonable temperatures settle in, and there is a dry weekend in the forecast. Right now in Athens, we see a temperature of 71 out there. It's warm and it is humid, and the humidity will rise overnight as dew points rise as well with a light wind. And as we see temperatures right now, out in the area, 67 in Lexington, New Lexington, 71 in Athens, 75 down in Ironton. So these are some very unseasonable warm temperatures out there for you. And with these dew points, you could see 64 in Cambridge, 65 down in Marietta, 67 in Athens. So it is feeling very humid out there for you as you make your afternoon plans. A high today was 74, right around normal, with a low of 61, which is very above normal, with a record of 86 that we set in 2007, and we have a low that was set in 1989 of 23 degrees, very cold. We have not seen anything near that. And we see the sunrise at 7:28, and it'll set at around 7:05 tonight with no precip accumulating today. We see at 8 p.m., we'll start off at 68 with mostly cloudy skies, and by midnight we'll be mostly cloudy as well with a temperature of 66. And by 6 a.m. we'll have some patchy fog here and there with those humidity levels on the rise. Temperatures tonight down to 61 in Athens, 63 in New Lexington, and down in Ironton we'll see a 65. So very unseasonably warm for your lows in the overnight in October. And tomorrow in Athens we'll see temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, which is very warm, and it'll be muggy as well with dew points into the 70s and a wind from the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. We'll see these temperatures all around the area tomorrow with 86 in Athens, 88 in Ripley, 87 in Ironton, and 80s across the board. And we'll see your Athens tomorrow in the morning. You'll start out with fog in the morning, 65 degrees, and by noon we'll see a chance of a shower with partly cloudy skies at 76. And for your 7-day forecast, we'll start off at 86 degrees, and we'll continue that on Sunday with 86 degrees and a 20% chance of a rain shower. And to start off your work week, we'll start off in the upper 80s and continue that trend all the way until the end with temperatures going down into the lower 80s by the midweek and 78. And then we'll have a cold front moving through on Friday, bringing a chance of rain. And it'll bring really cool temperatures, bringing them back down to a reasonable temperature range for this time. Back to you.
A group of firefighters in Parkersburg are suing the city over last year's longevity pay. They claim that pay was unfairly reduced. According to the lawsuit, the city would reduce a firefighter's total earnings by taking a portion of the longevity pay. More than 40 employees were affected by this reduction. They're demanding the money they lost and a guarantee that the city will honor its pay policies. Parkersburg City Attorney Joe Santer said yesterday he cannot comment on the lawsuit at this time. The investigation into a former Ohio State team doctor has cost the university $1.5 million in legal fees. This is all according to invoices running through August 17th. The late Richard Strauss was accused of sexual misconduct by over 145 students between 1979 and 1997. 3 lawsuits related to the investigation are pending. The mayor of an island town in Lake Erie has been indicted on corruption charges. Bernard McCann, the 82-year-old mayor of Put-in-Bay, was charged with 2 felonies. He allegedly used his position as mayor to secure a waterline project for a business associate. McCann's 2 children and the town's fiscal officer were both indicted as well. A former West Virginia mayor is also getting into some trouble. A federal grand jury has indicted former Mayor Kevin Mark Sims on drug distribution charges. A U.S. Attorney Office news release says Sims was charged with 1 count of distribution of oxycodone and 3 counts of aiding and abetting the distribution of oxycodone. If convicted, Sims faces up to 20 years in prison and a fine of up to $1 million for each count. A West Virginia jail is facing a lawsuit over the death of an inmate. The lawsuit accuses Western Regional Jail of poor treatment to Bradley Wilson Siders, who died of delirium in the prison in 2017. The lawsuit alleges Siders did not receive proper medical care nor had the required hourly security checks needed at the prison. A Kentucky manufacturing plant is shutting its doors. The Tran manufacturing facility in Lexington is set to close next year. This decision comes as the company plans to expand their facility in South Carolina. 600 Lexington employees will be affected by the closure. Officials say they plan to hire more than 750 employees in South Carolina.
I can't see the point in hiring somebody in if you know you're closing, unless it's for their benefit, to get something done quick as they can, you know. I mean, I don't know, it's to their benefit, you know, it's not to ours.
Lexington Mayor Jim Gray said the city is ready to help employees who will be looking for new jobs. And business leaders say city expansion should result in about 1,400 different jobs soon. Today, senators voted on whether or not to bring a confirmation hearing for Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh to the floor. And Senators Susan Collins and Joe Manchin dropped a bombshell. Mary Maloney reports.
Senator Susan Collins is a yes. The Republican senator siding with her party, announcing she will vote to confirm Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court.
Mr. President, I will vote to confirm Judge Kavanaugh.
The most contentious confirmation of a Supreme Court nominee in decades has taken dramatic twists and turns. Multiple women accused Kavanaugh of sexual misconduct.
They're having fun at my expense,
prompting Kavanaugh to issue a passionate denial to the claims.
You have replaced advice and consent with search and destroy.
And the FBI to conduct an additional background check. In the midst of the roar from protesters, today only one voice echoed on the Senate floor.
The motion is agreed to.
By the slimmest of margins, senators advanced Kavanaugh's confirmation to a final vote this weekend. But even with Collins' decision, Kavanaugh's fate isn't sealed. Some senators could change their minds in the final moments.
Do you plan to vote yes tomorrow?
So, unless something big changed, I don't see what would.
And Vice President Mike Pence could be forced to break a tie.
Right.
The importance of the Supreme Showdown isn't lost on senators or the country. If Kavanaugh is confirmed, he will replace retired Justice Anthony Kennedy, often considered the swing vote on the Supreme Court. The committed conservative would potentially shift the balance of the court to the right for generations. Now, Washington waits and wonders what's next. In Washington, I'm Mary Maloney reporting.
Senator Joe Manchin also said he will vote to confirm Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court minutes after Collins gave her speech. A final vote on Kavanaugh's confirmation is expected tomorrow. Coming up, we'll take an in-depth look at Ohio University volleyball. How two fifth-year seniors became so close thanks to their favorite sport when Newswatch returns.
Baseball is going fast, but don't get bored on us mid-season now. The playoff picture is starting to develop, and every game that we bring you will have playoff implications. Right now is one of the most exciting times of the fall, which means you can't afford to miss Friday nights with us. Live at 11:30, Gridiron Glory is here for you. And check out our Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages all throughout the week. They're chock full of coverage. So start your weekends with us. And remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights in Gridiron Glory.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
I'm such a huge fan of PBS. For my entire life, it's been our window into a world of the arts that isn't available anywhere else on TV. We learn about our numbers and our letters and singing through music, through the incredible children's programming they have. And then we grow up and we get to see the world of the arts, whether it's ballet or opera or Broadway, and so many other amazing moments that you wouldn't get anywhere else except for PBS.
I loved Ken Burns' series on the Civil War. It was deeply impacting. I love history. To have those stories told through these letters, through stories of love and loss, it rewrote the book on how to tell a story. When television was invented, there were a lot of people who had dreams about what it could do. I think PBS still aspires for and often succeeds at reaching the highest ideals of what television could be.
Welcome back. I'm Thomas Carver. Time to dive into our special edition of Sports Friday. Family is the foundation of Ohio volleyball. Redshirt senior captains Jamie Kasorik and Katie Nelson came to Ohio 5 years ago trying to find their way. And in the process, they developed a special bond. Jamie Kasorik and Katie Nelson are inseparable.
Yeah, she's literally...
The sister she never had.
You're gonna make me cry. I have brothers, and she's my sister, you know, day one.
They were a match made in heaven.
We had no idea who we were, and it's just us two in our class, and then we ended up fitting perfectly, being best friends for 5 years now. So she's my American sister, I always say.
A friendship they don't take for granted.
To have someone so close with me 5 years of my entire life in college is just, it's something no one gets that.
They set the tone for the Ohio Volleyball way.
They're very, very close, and they always have been. And just that does help drive the family atmosphere when you have two captains that truly care about each other that way. It's modeled in front of the entire team.
An injury to Kasorek last year allowed the two one more year together. It was meant to be.
Always kind of in the back of our minds that I was gonna have to leave and she was gonna still be here. And it was the universe's way of just being just, you know what, you can't take you guys. It's not Katie without Jamie, and it's not Jamie without Katie.
And now with everyone healthy.
The gym feels different. Everybody's good to go. Everybody's ready to compete.
So a MAC title run might just be in store in their final year at Ohio. Nelson Kasorek and the rest of the volleyball team are back in action this weekend. After a couple games in the combo, the team hits the road for Miami of Ohio and Bowling Green. Sports reporter Brian Curve previews about what Coach Dean Webb considers to be a critical point of the season.
Ohio Volleyball has won 4 of their last 5 matches and is 3-1 in MAC play. There is not a lot of separation at the top of the conference. 6 teams currently have a 3-1 record.
You say every year there's some parity. There's a lot of like-leveled teams. We're 4 games in and no one's undefeated in the whole conference, and that's pretty unusual.
The Bobcats have 2 big weekends of conference play starting this Friday when they travel to Oxford to play the Miami Redhawks and their tough defense.
Their defense is really unusual. The way Miami plays is truly unique, and some of the things they do with their offside corner and they charge at the ball, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's a very unusual look.
When the Bobcats visit Bowling Green on Saturday, they will have to adjust their game plan when facing the Falcons.
Very, very different for each team. When it's Bowling Green, we have to stay away from their bro. She's in zone 6, and she's leading the country in digs per set right now, and she led the country in digs per set last year, so she's really good.
Next weekend, the Bobcats will travel to face West Division leader Toledo and a formidable opponent in Ball State.
Yeah, very important, and then we have Ball State the next weekend, Toledo. Ball State's one of the top teams in the West. Toledo's off to a much better start than probably a lot of people picked them, and so I don't think it's a stretch to say this is the toughest 4-game stretch that we've seen.
Coach Webb doesn't need to tell his team how important these next few weeks are for the rest of their season.
They know. This is the 2 teams we're about to play. They tied for regular season championship last year, and it's on the same road trip. You're playing back-to-back days. It's pretty obvious. I think our kids know how important this is, not just for now, but what this could mean for later in the year.
WOUB.org has you covered for a recap of Ohio Volleyball's weekend. Right after the break, the Ohio soccer team was in action yesterday. I break down Ohio's matchup with the Akron Zips. Sound from head coach Aaron Rodgers coming up next on Newswatch.
WOUB is member-supported public television. Your contribution keeps WOUB available in your community. Become a member with a gift of $60 or more for access to stream more than 1,000 of your favorite PBS programs through WOUB Passport. Programs like Nature, Sherlock, and all episodes of Downton Abbey and Victoria. Pledge now at WOUB.org. And thank you.
I love PBS because at the heart of everything PBS does is education.
I use PBS not only in my home, but also in my classroom.
It's kind of the idea of being the great equalizer for learning and for education.
I'm a lifelong learner, and PBS has always been part of that journey for me.
I love PBS because PBS supports teachers.
They know what works for kids and what's best for kids, and that's why I love PBS.
What are you doing?
Possibilities. Your day is filled with them.
Reach up, energy in the fingertips, collapse. TV, play Downton Abbey.
And PBS helps everyone discover theirs. Anytime, anywhere.
Up in the sky, you can see it.
PBS, we're with you for life.
PBS had a special on Pearl Harbor, and once Landon started watching the show about the Arizona, he completely became fascinated.
That's Donald Stratton, and that's me.
And then his Christmas wish this year was to meet Donald Stratton, one of the survivors from the Arizona.
So good to see you, buddy.
Everything that Landon has learned from PBS, it's immeasurable.
This is for you.
Thank you, big guy.
He is living proof of the effect that PBS has had on his life.
Welcome back. I'm Thomas Garvick. The Ohio soccer team is probably wishing their game yesterday could have been played inside. I kid you not, it was a monsoon out there. I recap what was a very wet day out at Chesapeake. Rain is an element that can play a factor in a soccer game, and yesterday it took a toll on Ohio.
It's tough. I mean, it's always difficult conditions when it's raining really hard. The field is very soft. You're losing your footing. The ball's skipping around. It can be a challenging game, but in soccer, you got to deal with that from time to time.
The Akron Zips, though, didn't embrace the rain either. A shutout for Ohio was considered a win.
I think both teams kind of struggled with the conditions, but at the end of the day, we came through and we kept the shutout, which was one of our goals coming into the game.
Normally, the team is flying around for loose balls, but Rogers felt like his team needed to be pushed into that extra gear.
I think one of the things that we talked about at halftime and after the regulation was we needed more energy, and we really needed to kind of spark some energy.
Sometimes the game doesn't go your way, bud.
As I told the players, some days you go into the office and, it's not your day, but it doesn't matter. You got to make it your day.
The path for a bounce-back game is clear.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be up to the players to regroup and, really reflect tonight on the performance today and maybe where we were not quite our best. And then we have a recovery in the morning.
And once they get recharged,
and as I said to them, hey, get back, and now once we get to the recovery in the session in the morning, we're going to be back on it. We're going to be finding ourselves again at our highest level, and then we'll train Saturday morning before we head up to Buffalo.
Ohio hopes the conditions will be a bit drier when they take on Buffalo this weekend. Coming up after the break, reporter Russ Heltman takes us back to last Saturday to highlight Nathan Rourke and the offense's record-setting day. That and a preview of Ohio's game with Kent State on Saturday when Newswatch returns.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
This fall is going fast, but don't get bored on us mid-season now. The playoff picture is starting to develop, and every game that we bring you will have playoff implications. Right now is one of the most exciting times of the fall. Which means you can't afford to miss Friday nights with us. Live at 11:30, Gridiron Glory is here for you. And check out our Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages all throughout the week. They're chock full of coverage. So start your weekends with us. And remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights in Gridiron Glory.
I'm such a huge fan of PBS. For my entire life, it's been our window into a world of the arts that isn't available anywhere else on TV. We learn about our numbers and our letters and singing through music, through the incredible children's programming they have. And then we grow up and we get to see the world of the arts, whether it's ballet or opera or Broadway, and so many other amazing moments that you wouldn't get anywhere else except for PBS.
WOUB is member-supported public television. Your contribution keeps WOUB available in your community. Become a member with a gift of $60 or more for access to stream more than 1,000 of your favorite PBS programs through WOUB Passport. Programs like Nature, Sherlock, and all episodes of Downton Abbey and Victoria. Pledge now at WOUB.org. and thank you.
Welcome back. I'm Thomas Garverick. If you missed the Ohio football game on Saturday, well, you won't want to miss this. Ohio quarterback Nathan Rourke and the offense had a monster day en route to their 58-42 win over UMass. Russ Heltman relives Rourke's huge offensive day.
Air Canada indeed. It was an offensive explosion against the UMass Minutemen for Nathan Rourke and the Ohio Bobcats this past Saturday. The Ontario native was absolutely electric on the ground and through the air all afternoon, completing a career-high 23 passes for 270 yards and 3 aerial scores while rushing for a career-high 189 yards and 1 score with his legs. Put all that together, and it's one of the most prolific offensive performances in Ohio football history. No other Bobcat in the history of the program has amassed 459 yards of total offense in one game.
Obviously, when we got the offensive line that we have, and then we have these two running the way that we do, we can involve guys like Cam and Poppy and Andrew, and we can use our tight ends. And in the passing game, we're going to be really tough to stop.
Head coach Frank Solich knows how versatile the young Canadian can be. It was a big reason why the Bobcats set a single-game program record with 664 yards of offense against UMass.
And he can hurt you in so many ways. As you could tell in the first half, he did a great job on some runs that give us big and explosive plays and kept those drives going and enabled us to get points on the board to get back in the ball game after we got down 14-0.
Rourke was named an Athlete of the Week by the Mid-American Conference for his performance, and it couldn't have come at a better time as the Bobcats began their quest for a MAC title this Saturday against Kent State. For WOUB Sports, I'm Russ Heltman.
Rourke and the offense look to stay on a roll in their first Mid-American Conference game against Kent State. Reporter T. Wills gets you ready for what to expect from the Golden Flashes on Saturday.
The Ohio Bobcats are on the road again for the third time this season. The 2-2 Ohio team is set to take on the 1-4 Kent State Golden Flashes in their first conference game Saturday, October 6th. Ohio quarterback Nathan Rourke is coming off a monster game. Air Canada had one of the best performances we've seen in his career, throwing for 3 touchdowns and using his legs to add 189 rushing yards to his stat line. Ohio's offense was in full effect against UMass as well, with the record-setting 664 total yards. The Bobcats utilized the run game for 394 of those yards on offense. Though Rourke led the team in rushing, running backs Malik Iron and A.J. Olette were vital to the team's success. The deadly duo combined for a total of 210 yards and 3 touchdowns. The weak point for Ohio, however, was defense. The Bobcats gave up 42 points against the Minutemen and allowed 2 touchdowns early in the first quarter of the game. Ohio shut down UMass in the final minutes, but if they want to beat the Golden Flashes Saturday, they'll have to play with the same intensity for the entirety of the matchup. Ohio's come out on top in the last 4 meetings against Kent State, but the Golden Flashes have a new face with Auburn transfer Woody Barrett at the quarterback position.
Yeah, he's allowed them to open up their offense. And, they're a very fast-paced football team. You can see on film where the opponents struggle getting lined up sometimes because they're such a fast-paced team. So we'll need to get ready for that aspect of the game.
The Bobcats' quest for a MAC title begins this Saturday. The matchup is set to kick off at 3:30 Eastern Time, and coverage of that game will be on ESPN+. For WOUB Sports, I'm T. Willis.
If you can't be at the game, that's okay. Follow us on our Twitter account at Bobcat Showcase for live updates of the game. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Thomas Garverick. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.